So over here, remember vertical angles are the ones across from each other. They can be sideways, they can be up and down, they could be diagonal. They don't necessarily just have to be vertical, okay? So 2 and 3 are vertical. 1 and 4 are vertical. Can you tell me another one? 5 and 8. 6 and 7. Now somebody said 1 and 2. Are 1 and 2 across from each other? See, 1 and 2 are beside of each other, so that's different, okay? 1 and 2 are just linear pairs, and they are not vertical because they have to be directly across, okay? All right, the corresponding angles, so let's look at those. Corresponding angles, remember, one is on the outside and one is on the inside, but they're on the same side. So an example would be 2 and 6. Okay, can you see another pair? 1 and 5. Okay, can we see another pair? 3 and 7. And one more? 4 and 8. Good job. Okay. Alternate interior. 3 and 6. And then I heard 4 and 5. Alternate interior, there's only 2 pair. On the others, there were 4 pair. Okay. Alternate exterior. 1 and 8. And 2 and 7. And what do I know about all those angles that we just came up with? They're all congruent to each other. 2 and 3 is congruent. 1 and 4 is congruent. 5 and 8 is congruent. 6 and 7 is congruent. Every pair I came up with there are congruent because we talked about vertical and corresponding and alternate interior and alternate exterior. Let me tell you one more thing about congruent. If you start with an angle and you find a vertical angle, and then find another angle in that next little section congruent to 3. What angle do you think that might be? 7 is congruent because it's corresponding. Okay, and find another vertical angle. This isn't listed there, but here's what I want you to know. 2, 3, 6, and 7 are all congruent to each other. Okay? All the little ones are congruent. They're all acute. But as long as those 2 lines are parallel, 4 are congruent and the other 4 will be congruent. Okay, so those 4 are congruent to each other. But see, these 4 are also congruent to each other. But the yellow and the blue together make 180. Okay, all the yellow ones are obtuse, but they're all congruent to each other. Okay, any questions so far? All right, let me erase that. And let's look at all of our supplementary angles. Supplementary angles are angles that equal 180. And I think you already know that, but we'll just talk about it anyway. So same side interior would be 3 and 5 because they're on the same side, but they're inside the parallel lines. And there's one more pair. 4 and 6. Okay. Same side exterior. 1 and 7 because that's outside. 2 and 8. And 2 and 8. Now I'm not going to list all the linear pairs because I think there's 8 of them. Okay? But linear pairs are angles that are right beside of each other and that they make a line. Okay? So I'm just going to kind of list a couple and talk about it. So 1 and 2 would be a linear pair. 5 and 7 would be a linear pair. I'm going to list those 2, but let's just look at it. 1 and 2 are a linear pair. 3 and 4 are a linear pair. 5 and 6 are a linear pair. 7 or 8 are a linear pair because they're all right next to each other making a line. But they're not the only linear pairs because 2 and 4 are a linear pair. 6 and 8, 1 and 3, 5 and 7. because again, they're making a line. Okay? So there's whole lots of linear pairs. Okay? Any questions about any of those angles? Okie dokie. So let's look at the examples. It doesn't ask you what kind of angles it is, but sometimes if you know what kind of angles it is, it helps you to determine whether you should set them equal or not. So let's look at 70 and x plus 16. What kind of angles are those? Alternate exterior. So they are congruent, so I put one of them equal to the other. Okay? Subtract 16 on both sides. Is it 54? And then there's x. Okay? Let's look at the one in the middle. So we have 2x and we have 128. What kind of angles are they? Same side interior. Are they congruent or 180? 180. Because they're 180, I'm not going to put equal to. I'm going to put plus them, and I'm going to put equal to 180. And then I'm going to solve that equation. So I subtract 128. Is it 52? And then divide by 2. I think you get 26. Alright, last example. Last example is kind of weird because we got x's and we got y's and we have 3 angles to look at. Okay? Let's first of all talk about the 7y one and the 15x one. What do you know? Well, see, they're not even anything we know, are they? That one's outside, that one's inside, but they're on different sides. So we don't even know how to compare them. Okay? Could we compare the 7y and 27 with the 125? Okay, if we can, what kind of angles are those? Alternate exterior. Okay, so I can set these two equal to each other to find y. Alright, well, we got to find x. So what about these two, the 125 and the 15x? What do I know about those two? They equal 180 because they're a linear pair. Okay, so I'm going to start with the y, and we're going to find y, and then we're going to do something with that linear pair. Alright, so we're going to do 7y plus 27 equals 125. We're going to subtract 27 on both sides. Is it 98 or 108? Alright, and divide by 7. And that gives me y. That other angle is at 15x. It's hard to see on this copy. 15x minus 5. Alright, so what I know about these two angles is that they make 180. So I'm going to erase the blue just so I can put it over here and you can see it since you already have that. And I'm going to do it right here. So 15x minus 5 equals, nope, doesn't equal, plus 125 equals 180 because they're a linear pair and they're side by side. So to solve this equation, I'm going to start by subtracting the 5 and adding 125 together. So 15x plus 120 equals 180. Subtract 120 and then divide by 15.